In our Gospel, Jesus is continuing his farewell discourse to his disciples in the upper room at the celebration of the Last Supper. And he is reminding them the cost that may have to be paid for being Jesus' disciple. Because what applies to him necessarily applies to us who in baptism have died with Christ and risen with him to new life, so that we may be members of his body, the church. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you too. If they kept my word, they will keep yours as well. And this is the price that St. George and many others have paid for their faith in Jesus Christ. George, who is honoured as a prophet by our Jewish and Muslim sisters and brothers, and as a saint by our Christian sisters and brothers, is in a sense an icon of this country that claims him as its patron. Yet he was not born here. He did not look like many of the people who live here, and he never visited this island. And so it's almost ironic that he became a patron. In fact, the only country of England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland whose patron saint was born in the country of which he was patron was St. David, patron of Wales. But George watches over us as our national patron, with that sense of chivalry for which he was honoured as this country's patron and the patron of many other countries, cities, territories and states back in former times. Because of his belief, put into action in his way of life and his way of death, that Jesus is risen from the dead. And in fact, the cross of St. George is based on the cross, the banner, that we see in iconography Jesus holding as he rises from the dead. The cross, the red cross, to remind us of the blood that he shed, on a white background to remind us of the new life that was brought by that blood. Because victory and power and empire have forever been won by our God. Every nation, many organisations, every parish, all our schools have their patron saints. This does not mean to say that God favours one nation above others, or that there is some unearthly competition between saints for patronage. Far from it. What it means for us as Christians is that we should seek to emulate our patrons, that we should have something of their values, their virtue in our way of living. So just as in the face of death, George did not cling to life, let us pray that we will bear witness to Jesus in everything that we say and do, in our way of living and in our way of dying, and that we who have already triumphed by the blood of the Lamb may live that life to the full on earth and in heaven. Let the heavens rejoice and all who live there.